We are here today on the Smart Blog with Alan Blume. Alan is the business owner of Startup Selling. He founded startupselling.com, and he's also the author of a book called Your Virtual Success, published by Career Press, and I'll show it to you right there, and that's the book. Alan's been kind enough to give me an autographed copy, which I'll treasure, and this book is all about how to set up a virtual business as a small entrepreneur. Maybe get out of the rat race is sort of what I got out of this, and give you the tips and the keys to success on running a remote business, a virtual business, yet still providing you with enough of that connection that you may need in order to sort of keep your juices flowing. So welcome. Good afternoon, Alan.
Thank you, Carl. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you, and I appreciate you doing this interview with us. I guess I'd like to get into the book a little bit and start talking about your virtual success. One of the things, and I've seen your blog posts on some different things, and one of the things that you talk about is sort of the way the country's going, the business model that is changing America as we know it. Can you elaborate on that just a bit?
Absolutely. So today we have to leverage competitive advantages, particularly with so many companies having challenges with overseas competitors who offer perhaps better tax incentives or cheaper labor or a labor pool that's more accessible to them and more flexible to them. One of the things that we have to do in the United States is that we have to move to a virtual environment. A virtual venue is inherently more flexible and more profitable. And it's highly advantageous because it's more productive for the average person, be it a small business or an employee for a very large business. It's happening today. It's going to continue happening. Not that cities are going to disappear, but we are going to undergo a metamorphosis as we also see gas prices climbing to $6 a gallon or $8 a gallon in the not too distant future.
Yeah, the gas price thing is one of the reasons that, and people who watch this blog and read my stuff know that this is a virtual business, and in many ways, reading your book the first time, you inspired me to do some of the things that are going on here, and some of the techniques that I've used. It is still very tough, and I think this book provides some things on how to do it right as regarding your virtual business. You know, this is one of those you had me at hello situations. I was reading either the foreword or an early chapter in the book, and I got it because I wanted to learn about some things virtual. And you set up a chapter where you were working out of a hotel in some resort somewhere, and that's how you were doing business. So we maybe get into a little bit about that, and then into the benefits of how you can run this if you do it right.
Absolutely, and my agent and publisher often refer to this as the companion guide, the practical companion guide to the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, which is kind of a more esoteric, perhaps a theoretical application of going virtual.
Yeah, but I've been that one now.
It's a very interesting book. Now, not all of us can be kickbox champions and tango dancer champions and leave our homes and go to Brazil for a year, but mine's much more pragmatic. In actuality, I'm doing exactly what I did in a non-virtual, traditional environment. I've just now moved my business to a completely virtual venue. So I used to be doing cars, planes, trains, automobiles. I used to basically spend my life on the road, whether it be an hour commute each way or on a plane for 6 hours in a given day. That got old, that got tired, that just wasn't. Today, I question why companies need to meet most of their prospects and clients face-to-face consistently. That includes, we have many insurance clients and many technology clients. When you're reviewing somebody's insurance information, much of that, all of that can be done virtually today, just like this interviewing I'm doing with you right now, Carl.
Sure.
There's no reason they can't be Skyping.
No, and I've used Skype. It's interesting because of some of these interviews that I do on video. Inc. magazine called me up a couple of weeks ago and did an interview with me regarding using Skype video chats for job hiring. So it's interesting. So a magazine like that is taking an interest in how people can cut costs, and of course the main benefit is cutting costs. of the job interview.
Good example by you. Inc. magazine actually did an article where they went virtual for a month. I don't know if you read that article, but it was very interesting. The entire operation moved out of their offices and essentially went virtual. And they talked about how it was very feasible with the cloud computing options available, and how some things were going to have to change, mainly legacy systems.
Okay.
Legacy systems is problematic for a lot of businesses. They're not in the cloud. They're client server in nature. Now, whether I was in a hotel, as you mentioned, at the Portofino in Florida or in Costa Rica, or I was recently in Newport Beach, California, I can do all of my work because all of my applications are in the cloud.
Yeah, that's a thing of beauty when you do it right.
It is huge, and today it's quite easy to do right. So today I can send out 20,000 emails in the next 5 or 10 minutes if I want to an opt-in list on behalf of a client. So for an insurance agency, I can set up a webinar. Often we use GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar. I can send out an emailing. I can have a custom landing page. Within an hour, I can arrange all of this for a client, and they can invite 50,000 people or 10,000 people to come to an educational webinar in cyberspace that they're offering, and perhaps 100 people will come or 500 people will come. The cost of that infrastructure is negligible. So today it becomes expertise, labor expertise, just where America wants to go.
Right. Yeah, that way you're not graphically or geographically bound by where you can find your talent. And let's get into talent, because that's what might be the next question I wanted to ask you. You do a whole chapter in the book regarding setting up your virtual workforce, finding the people, finding good employees. One of the things tools that I never use, and I feel like I'm very late to the party on this, is you mentioned Craigslist. You know, what I know about Craigslist is where seedy people go to hang out and run scams and eventually murder people. Okay.
Perhaps so.
But you mentioned Craigslist as a good source, and I found some of these other ones, the Odesks and the Elance and the Guru.com. But I took your advice and I went to Craigslist, and the person who now does my web site work I found from Craigslist. Very affordable. He is from Columbus, Ohio. And I live in Maryland. And then I found the person who did my graphical design on my logo for my business up in Wisconsin through Craigslist. Now, where I failed a little bit in using Craigslist is I have not been able to personally set up finding telesales callers. I know you've done well with that. Maybe you could provide us and the viewing audience with some tips on what's the best way to screen, find, and engage a virtual workforce.
Well, first of all, I want to compliment you on doing that so quickly and doing so well with that. It's probably due to the fact that your organization is virtual. You can make these changes and decisions very quickly. You're already hiring web-based people. There's many sources, including Craigslist, to hire those people. And there's a few tricks of the trade in doing so. First of all, any company, traditional, web-based company, should be very specific in their advertisement. So the advertisement should have length of years, type of qualifications. If you're hiring a web developer, then whether it's a PHP or an HTML, exactly what you're looking for should go in the ad. If you're extremely specific, you'll get better profile candidate back. That reduces the amount of time you have to spend reviewing responses. Also, have them do a little homework. If whenever possible, say we would like a written email cover letter covering these 3 or 4 points. That will make them spend a little time, invest a little more, making sure your opportunity is really of interest to them. After all, you want to be talking to people who are going to be worth your time, and your opportunity should be worth their time. That's what we've done with our telemarketers. We frequently have a half a dozen telemarketers on staff at any time, well qualified, working out of their home offices. And one of the things that we ask for, have you had experience working from a virtual home office? Very important. If you follow those tricks and you're very specific and you put down the hourly amount that you're willing to pay, you should get back a good response, cull through those responses, and kudos if you do either a web meeting or a Skype interview. Fantastic.